Hey guys, welcome back to another deck profile video. Today, I'm going to show you a very interesting premium deck, and it's also definitely one of my favorite archetype, the Dimension Robo. Yes, aka Dai Robo. Yes, this is actually my version 2 of the deck, and I might do a couple of tweaking for the next couple of days. But for now, I'm actually having fun with it. So I would like to definitely share this deck with you, and I hope this deck profile would actually inspire some of you Dai Robo fans to come out with probably like a better version or a different variation of the deck. So without further ado, let's begin. So first, let's talk about our starting Vanguard. So in this deck, I actually play the original version of Dimension Robo Daiyusha, not the V series but the O series. As you can see, it has a Forerunner ability, and the most important thing is the second activate ability. So it has a cost. By choosing 4 of your rearguards with Dimension Robo in its card name and put them into Soul, and if you have a grade 2 or a greater Vanguard with the Dimension Robo in its card name, search your deck up to 1 grade 3 with Dimension Robo in its card name, write it and shuffle. So this is essentially a superior right. It's a compulsory, like it's a not mandatory, like it's a, you like confirm to get into your superior right if you go first. So let's say if you go in first, and the turn when you ride into grade 2, your opponent is still in grade 1, and then by calling the units, additional 3 units on the board, you can superior right straight away into Daiyusha. And the new Daiyusha has a very powerful ability. First, when you're upon right, you get a force marker, give it to itself, and then you can activate the second ability by calling 1 more units or 2 more units, tap it, rest it. Your Daiyusha will gain extra power, 10k or 20k, which meets the requirement for the first ability by getting the first crit. So yes, as you can see, this is a superior right dimension police. Alright, now let's get into our grade 3 lineup. As you can see, definitely 4 copies of Daiyusha. Yes, I know you can superior right into Daiyusha, but the thing is, those grade 3s can become a superior right, not superior right, like a stride folder, and especially helps you to get into ultimate stride as well. So yep, definitely 4 copies of Daiyusha, and also, of course, not all the time you will actually want to superior right. Like for example, if you go second, there's no point to superior right. So in this deck, regardless going first or second, you will go into your stride first. Yep, so let's get into our second grade 3. 4 copies of Ultimate Daiyusha. Yes, definitely Ultimate Daiyusha. So this card is kind of like a additional attack for you. So let's say for example, during your turn, you do not have the cards to go into stride, right? And then if somehow you drive check into Ultimate Daiyusha, it helps to give another push for your attacks. So yes, you can superior ride it during your attack phase. So which is really good. And of course, there's other combos you can play with the Ultimate Daiyusha. So as you can see, 4 copies of original Daiyusha and 4 copies of Great Ultimate Great Daiyusha, whatever. It's the big Daiyusha. So yes, this is the grade 3 lineup. So in the grade 2 lineup, I play 4 copies of Dimension Robo Dai Dragon, the new one, the one from the V series. It has 2 abilities. First activate ability once per turn, you Soul Blast 1 and you choose your Vanguard, gains 5k power. And the second continuous ability, if your Vanguard is 35k power or greater, this unit gets 10k power. It's a 20k grade 2 attacker. It's so easy to get your Vanguard to 35k, so definitely 4 copies of it. Yes. Next, I play 4 copies of Dimensional Robo Dai Blast. This card is actually from the O series, from the GEB03, which is the Galaxy Stargate extra booster set, not mistaken. Yep, this card has a really good ability. So the good thing is it doesn't require Generation Break 1, and the ability is when it plays onto the rearguard, you can choose your Vanguard, and your Vanguard get this ability. Counterblast 1, when it attacks the Vanguard, pay the cost and you draw a card. So this is one of those cards that actually help you to regenerate your hand size. And the good thing is it doesn't require Generation Break. That means you can use it during grade 2 if you want to. For example, if you superior right and then call this one out, it's kind of like how to compensate the loss that you that you have done through the superior right. Yes, 4 copies of that. And next, I play 4 copies of Dimensional Robo Kaiser. This card is really fun to play, so it only has the ability when it's on Vanguard. Only on Vanguard, hear me out, just only on Vanguard. Why I play 4 copies? It also increased the chance for me to getting it, and it also helps me to, once I get into superior right, my Daiyusha just need to tap one of the unit and then it becomes a 38k attacker, and also gains 1 crit. So I play 4 copies. Most of my games, test games, I get them every single time. So yeah, I'm actually quite liking this card. I was quite skeptical in the beginning, but I was having a lot of fun right now. So 4 copies. I know it's only a Vanguard ability, but I like it. I actually personally like it. So this card is actually from the old TD, the Dimensional Brave Kaiser TD, and the starter set Dimensional Brave Kaiser. So it might be a bit difficult to suss it out, but you never know. So yeah, this is the Grade 2 lineup. So our Grade 1 lineup, I play 4 copies of Dimensional Robo Die Brave. This is also a very powerful card for Dimensional Police, and it has 2 abilities. The first ability is the same as Die Dragon, so +1 choose your Vanguard gains 5k power until end of the turn. And the second ability, when your Vanguard attack hits a Vanguard, put this card into soul, you draw a card. So this card, you don't need to boost your Vanguard, and then if your Vanguard hits your opponent's Vanguard, it becomes the soul and you get to draw an extra card. So it's kind of like a filter for your hand. And the good thing about this card is, for example, if you superior right first into Daiyusha and then you call this card, you sell +1, give your Daiyusha a 5k, and then use Daiyusha's ability, tap this Die Brave, and it gains another 10k. So your Daiyusha literally become a 38k with 1 extra crit. And then when your Daiyusha attack your opponent's Grade 2, it goes actually Grade 1, and this card would, most of the time your opponent will not guard, so they will take the hit for that 2 critical. So when it hits the critical, this card becomes the soul and you draw an additional card. Really powerful play over there. So definitely 4 copies of Die Brave. And next, I play 4 copies of Dimensional Robo Die Marina. This card is also a very powerful card. It forces your opponent to guard. If your opponent wish to guard your Vanguard's attack, they have to call 2 or more. So you're trying to force out your opponent to use additional hands to guard in the beginning if they wish to guard. So same scenario, you go into superior right when your opponent is still in Grade 1, and then you call this card, so +1, and then you tap it for Daiyusha's ability. Bam! If they wish to guard, they need to ditch 2 cards on the board, at least 2 cards on the board. And if they use a PG, they need to ditch another. They need to put another card on the G Guardian. So essentially, they're using 3 cards in the beginning if they wish to guard. So really powerful card. And the thing is, it's an 8k and a 10k shield, 8k power and a 10k shield. So definitely 4 copies. So next, I play 4 copies of Dimensional Robo Gold Cannon. The 2 reasons why I actually play this card: first, it has a Dimensional Robo in its name. Second, it can give your Daiyusha a extra critical by letting your Daiyusha hit 3 damage after you superior right. Even though this ability you won't be able to activate this ability quite often because it requires you to put him and another rear guard that has a Dimensional Robo in its name into soul. So 2 cards into soul for your Daiyusha to get 1 extra crit. But I actually managed to pull out once. Well, yeah, that's the only time that I actually managed to pull it. But most of the time, it's just there for the superior right. So yeah, 4 copies of Gold Cannon. I'm still looking for other viable choices. If you have any suggestion, just please comment below, and yeah, I will tune it up. And I play 1 copy of the Dimensional Robo Die Lander, the V series one, not the old series one. So this has a continuous ability. If your Vanguard is 30k power or above, your opponent cannot intercept. Pretty good to lock down your opponent in certain ways, but not really that impactful. So just 1 copy. I was thinking to put something else just to fill up the Grade 1 slot. So yeah, this is the one I have in mind. However, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment below and I'll consider it. It might be really helpful for this deck. So yeah, this is the Grade 1 lineup for the Daiyusha, the Dimension Robo deck. Next, let's head into our trigger lineup. I play 4 copies of Heal Trigger, 6 critical, and 6 draw trigger. So the heal and the crits are actually from the V series, and also the 4 draws, which are the Sentinel Guard, the Perfect Guard. And I play 2 of the old Dimensional Robo draw trigger. The reason is because it has the Dimensional Robo in its name, so if I draw into my hand, it can help you to get into your superior ride. So yes, so 4, 6, 6. Of course, you can tweak around with the trigger lineup. It's up to you, depending on your choices and your playstyle. But me, for this one, I play 4, 6 crit, and 6 draw. So yes, this is the trigger lineup. So now, let's head into our strike deck. So the first strike unit that I want to introduce you guys is the 99th Gen Dimensional Robo Commander, Great Daiyusha. Such a long name. So yeah, this is actually the unit that I usually strike into first if I go into my superior ride combo, because it has the activated counterblast to choose itself from a G-zone and face up. And if you have a heart with the Dimensional Robo in its card name, search your deck up to 1 grade 3 and 1 grade 2 with Dimensional Robo in its card name, call it to the separate rear guard. Shuffle your deck, then if the number of face up card in your G-zone with the Dimensional Robo in its card name is 2 or more, this unit gains extra crit. The extra crit doesn't really matter in this point, but the thing is, what you want is to gain the advantage, the few advantage, because after your superior ride, you will most probably be having hand card like low hand size, so you wanted to call something out to kind of replenish your hand for a bit. So you can call 2 attackers onto the board, like another Daiyusha and a Die Dragon, maybe a Die Dragon. So yeah, the Die Dragon will definitely be a 20k attack, so which is really good, and it also helps to thin out your deck to get 2 normal units out, so you have a higher chance to trigger into a trigger unit. So yes, this is usually my first choice if I have 2 counter blasts to spare. So next, I play 4 copies of the Strongest Command Chief Final Dimax DX. This card is actually coming out in the next Premium Collection 2019 set. It hasn't been released yet, but I'm just proxying it, and I actually really like this card. This card gives you a very heavy push and additional attacks against your opponent. So it has an auto ability that triggers upon attack. So when it attacks, you turn a card from same thing face up, from your G-zone face up, and then put all your rear guards, resting rear guards, into the soul. So you will definitely want to attack with your rear guards first. So 1, 2, and then 3 at your vanguard, and then you reveal 7 cards from the top of your deck, call the cards equal to the amount of face up cards you have in your G-zone, and then call according to the descending power order. After that, you shuffle your deck, and then if you put 4 or more cards into the soul as the cost, all of the units that you call from the top 7 cards, you will gain 10k power and 1 additional crit. It's a really heavy push. Yes, love this card so much. So it can also be your first strike choice as well, but you will just be only calling 2 units. But if you make it as your second strike choice, your 4th and 5th line can hit even harder. Yes, but it really depends on the situation of the game. So this card is really powerful. I play 4 copies just in case I do not have the counterblast to play the previous strike unit, then I can straight away go into this Dimax DX. Yes. So next, I play 2 copies of the Bravest Peak X Gallop. This card, amazing, definitely amazing. It's also one of my first strike choice. So automatic ability, when he attacks, counterblast 1 if I don't have 2 counterblasts. I just need to play 1 counterblast, choose a face down card from the G-zone and turn it face up. It doesn't have to be him. So if this card is 40k, not 4,000, 40k or greater, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gains extra 1 drive check, 4 drive checks, and at the end of the battle, if this unit's power is 80k or greater, you can restand, but of course minus the 4 drive check. The restand is not the main thing, but the 4 drive checks could really help you in the beginning after you have done your superior strike. It could really help you, yes. And then if this is your second strike choice, you probably most be able to trigger have the continuous ability activated. So Generation Break 3, this unit gains 10k power for each face up in your G-zone. So usually after the first strike, you will have 2, and then G Guardian another 1, and then this one when it attacks, you face up another one, so you have 4k. So your Vanguard is 13k, and then you have a 10k force marker, it becomes 23, and then you stride into this, becomes 38, and then you plus another 4k, 78, and then if you boost with something, it's definitely more than 80. So yeah, it can be a double attack strike unit, so pretty good, pretty powerful. So if you trigger all the crit trigger, you can just put it into it and then restand it and then swing for another big swing. Yep, so I play 2 copies of the Bravest Pig X Gallop. Next, oh, this is actually my favorite card in this deck. Almost all my games, I was able to ultimate strike into Starke, because when you after you superior into Daiyusha, you will bound to draw into your second copy of Daiyusha, and then you just probably keep it into your hand. And then most of the time, I stride into this one during my second stride. So if you don't know the ability, when this unit is placed on the Vanguard, ultimate strike, you may pay the cost. If you do until the end of the turn, this unit minus 2 drive checks. However, it can attack 3 times and it doesn't tap when it attacks. So good. So yeah, it's technically still triple drive check, but it attacks 3 times. And here's a pretty cool combo. So after you ultimate strike into this unit, you call Dimension. So every time your Starke attacks, your opponent should place at least 2 Guardians in the Guardian Circle if they wish to guard. And then especially when you drive check the first crit, give it to Starke, whoa, the next 2 attacks, they have to be very, very careful because Starke is hitting really, really huge. And then the next thing is, you don't have to, sometimes you might worry like, oh, if I go into Starke so early, if I don't finish my opponent, gone, my strike zone is gone. You don't have to worry about that because you are playing 4 copies of Ultimate Strike Daiyusha. So once your strike deck is gone, you can still function like a normal standard deck. So that's the cool thing about this Dimension Robo deck. So it's a really, really cool pressure card to try to burn your opponent's hand as much as possible. Then once your strike zone is gone, just go back to the standard play. So yeah, really, really cool card. So next, for our G Guardian, I play a copy of Great Galactic Beast Seal. The ability is pretty good. So when it's placed on the Guardian, so +1, choose one of your opponent's unit, minus 5k until end of the battle. If the number of cards in your damage zone is more than them, you may count +1. If you do, choose your Vanguard gains 5k power until end of the turn, not just end of the battle, end of the turn. So yes, 1 copy. Next, I play another copy of Oceanic Conversion Atlantis Dolphin. Generation Break 1 requirement, and when it plays on the Guardian, you flip up another G Guardian, and this unit gains additional 5k shield for each rear guard you have on the board. So if you have 3, it gains additional 15k, and it becomes a 30k shield. And if the shield is greater, it's 30k or greater, you counter charge and soul charge. So really good card. Next, I play a copy of Gallant Incarnation GO5. Go 5! Yes, so this card's ability is when it's placed on the Guardian Circle, you may pay the cost. The cost is so +1 card with 5k power or greater. This unit becomes a 25k shield until end of the turn. Then if during this turn, if you have taken a damage, it gains an additional 5k, it becomes a 30k shield. Really good. As you can see, the shields in Dimension opponents are really huge, like at least 25k or even 30k, so really powerful. So next, I play 2 copies of the Super's Cosmic Hero X Caravel. So this card, when you place onto the Guardian Circle, if your opponent's attacking unit is 30k or greater, it gets another 10k shield until the end of that battle. And if you choose a card from your hand and you discard it, you can choose your Vanguard and then it gains additional 4k power until end of the turn. Yes, there's also a lot of abilities that gives your Vanguard additional power until end of the turn. Really good, really, really good. And the final piece of the G Guardian, I play a copy of Dismal. This card could actually save your rearguard if you need them to stay alive. So definitely 1 copy. I was thinking about 2 copies to make it to 16, but it's up to you guys. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and if you have any questions or any deck profile that you would like me to do, be sure to comment below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out any deck profiles, idea, tips, or technique that I'll be sharing with you in the future. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!